Quan wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the atmospheric processor with tired eyes. The machine hummed wrong. It had been humming wrong for 3 days now, and he was running out of ideas. The mining colony on Talon's Edge was hot, dusty, and far from Earth. Sometimes he wondered why he had signed up for this job. The pay was good, but the loneliness was hard. The maintenance bay sat in the lower levels of the colony, where the rumble of mining equipment never stopped. Quan had been working alone for hours. The other human engineers were busy in different sections. He liked it that way. Quiet work suited him fine. He heard the sound before he saw anything, a soft padding of feet on metal, then a snuffle. Then something bumped against his boot. Quan looked down. A small furry creature stared up at him with huge yellow eyes. It looked like a mix between a wolf and a bear cub. Covered in gray and white fur, its ears stood up in points. Small fangs poked out from its mouth. The creature was about the size of a large dog. "Where did you come from?" Quan said softly. The creature tilted its head. Then it pounced at his boot and started biting the rubber. Its teeth made squeaking sounds against the tough material. The little thing growled playfully, shaking its head back and forth. Quan smiled. He had seen the adult aliens around the colony. The Vraxi were huge and scary-looking, with their sharp claws and fierce faces. But this little one was kinda cute. It reminded him of puppies back on Earth. The creature kept attacking his boot with determination. Quan reached down without thinking. He grabbed the scruff of the cub's neck gently, pulled it close, and chomped down softly on the fur with his teeth. Not hard, just a playful bite like he had seen the adult Vraxi do with their young. The cub froze. Its eyes went wide. Then every sound in the maintenance bay stopped. Quan looked up. 3 adult Vraxi stood at the entrance. They were massive, easily 8 feet tall with broad shoulders and powerful limbs. Their fur bristled. Their claws were extended. All 3 of them stared at Quan with expressions he could not read. The silence felt heavy. Quan slowly released the cub, who scrambled away but did not run far. The little creature sat down and watched him with those big yellow eyes. The largest Vraxi stepped forward. This one wore armor decorated with rank symbols. A female, Quan remembered from the orientation briefings. Commander Vexra, the leader of the Vraxi contingent at the colony. Her claws looked sharp enough to cut through steel. Quan's heart pounded. He stood up slowly, keeping his hands visible. He had no idea what he had done wrong, but the tension in the room told him it was something serious. Commander Vexra approached. Her footsteps were silent despite her size. She stopped 3 feet away from Quan and stared down at him. Her yellow eyes seemed to glow in the dim light. Then she did something Quan never expected. She lowered her head. Her whole body bent forward in a deep bow. The other 2 Vraxi did the same. Quan stood frozen, confused. What was happening? The cub made a chirping sound and trotted over to Commander Vexra. The big alien scooped up the little one with surprising gentleness. She held the cub close but kept her eyes lowered, not looking at Quan directly. I'm sorry," Quan said, unsure what else to say. "I didn't mean to—" "No words, Alpha," Commander Vexra said in her deep, rumbling voice. Her human language was good but heavily accented. "We understand. Stryker is yours to discipline, Alpha." Quan's confusion grew deeper. "I don't understand. I was just playing. I didn't hurt him." "You marked him," one of the other Vraxi said, a male with darker fur. The bite of authority. "Only Pack Alpha may touch another's cub this way." Before Quan could respond, he heard running footsteps. A human woman rushed into the bay, breathing hard. Nari, the cultural liaison officer. Her face was pale. "Quan," she said urgently, "please tell me you didn't—" She stopped when she saw the bowing Vraxi. Her eyes went even wider. Oh no, what's going on?" Quan asked. "I just bit the little guy. I thought it was normal. I've seen them do it." Nari grabbed his arm and pulled him aside. The Vraxi did not move. They remained in their bowing positions, waiting. "Quan, listen to me carefully," Nari said in a low voice. "In Vraxi culture, the disciplinary bite is sacred. Only the absolute leader of a pack can do it to someone else's offspring. By biting Stryker without hesitation, without asking permission, you've declared yourself the dominant alpha over every Vraxi in this colony." Quan felt his stomach drop. "But I'm not their leader. I'm just an engineer." "Try telling them that," Nari said, glancing at the still bowing aliens. "In their eyes, you just proved your dominance in the most definitive way possible. You walked up to the child of their commander and disciplined it like it was your own. That's either a death challenge or an alpha claim. Can't we just explain it was a mistake? Nari shook her head. Not in their culture. Actions speak louder than words. The bite of authority cannot be taken back or explained away. You did it instinctively without fear. That makes it even more powerful in their eyes. Quan looked at the waiting Vraxi. Commander Vexra still held her cub. The little one Striker was watching him with what looked like admiration. What do I do? Quan asked. Right now? Acknowledge them. They're waiting for your permission to stand. This felt insane. Quan was a mechanic. He fixed machines. He did not lead warrior aliens. But the Vraxi were waiting, and he could not leave them bowing forever. He cleared his throat. You can stand up? Immediately, all three Vraxi rose. They stood at attention, their posture respectful but not servile. Commander Vexra met his eyes, and this time Quan saw something in her gaze. Respect. Maybe even pride. We will inform the others, Alpha, she said. The pack will know. Before Quan could protest, she turned and left, carrying Striker. The other two Vraxi followed. Quan stood in the empty maintenance bay, his mind spinning. Nari put a hand on his shoulder. You need to come with me, she said. Director Sora needs to hear about this immediately. And Quan? Your life just got very complicated. Quan looked at his forgotten tools scattered around the broken atmospheric processor. The machine still hummed wrong. But somehow that seemed like the least of his problems now. He had come to this colony to fix equipment. Instead, he had accidentally become the leader of an entire alien species. All because he had played with a cub the way he thought was normal. As he followed Nari out of the bay, Quan could only think one thing. How did a simple bite turn his whole world upside down? The conference room felt too small. Quan sat at the table while Director Sora paced back and forth. Nari stood by the wall screen, showing graphs and cultural data about the Vraxi. Two other humans were present. Lieutenant Hyun from security, a stern woman with sharp eyes, and Mina, the colony's doctor, who looked concerned. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Director Sora said, rubbing her temples. You bit an alien child and now an entire warrior species thinks you're their leader? That's about right, Quan said quietly. He felt stupid. How could he have been so careless? Nari pulled up an image on the screen. It showed Vraxi social structure, with lines connecting different ranks. The Vraxi have a strict hierarchy based on dominance. At the top is the Pack Alpha. Below them are commanders, warriors, and workers. The Pack Alpha proves their position through combat, intimidation, or dominance displays. I didn't do any of that, Quan protested. I just bit a cub. That is a dominance display, Nari explained. The disciplinary bite is the strongest one in their culture. It says, I am so far above you that I can correct your offspring without fear of consequences. No one does that unless they are absolutely certain of their position as Alpha. Lieutenant Hyun leaned forward. Can we refuse this? Tell them it was a misunderstanding? Nari shook her head. That would be a massive insult. The Vraxi would see it as Quan claiming dominance and then showing weakness. They would lose all respect for humans. Worse, they might abandon the colony. This mining operation is a joint venture. If the Vraxi leave, we lose millions in resources and years of work. Director Sora stopped pacing. So our options are, let an untrained civilian engineer lead a group of warrior aliens or destroy the entire partnership. Those appear to be our options, yes, Nari said. Everyone looked at Quan. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair. I don't know how to lead anyone. I fix machines. That's what I'm good at. The Vraxi don't care what you're good at, Nari said gently. They care about what you did. You showed dominance without hesitation. In their worldview, that makes you Alpha. Mina spoke up for the first time. Her voice was soft but clear. What happens if Quan accepts this role? What would he actually have to do? Nari pulled up more data. He would need to make decisions for the Vraxi contingent. Resolve disputes. Give orders. Defend his position if challenged. The Vraxi respect strength and decisive action. Challenged? Quan asked. What does that mean? It means, Lieutenant Hyun said grimly, that if a Vraxi thinks you're weak, they can challenge your authority, usually through combat. Quan felt his mouth go dry. I can't fight them. They're huge. You don't have to fight, Nari said. There are other ways to establish dominance. Staring contests. Verbal dominance. Physical presence. But yes, combat is the traditional method. Director Sora sat down heavily. This is a mess. but we don't have much choice. The Vraxi delegation has already spread the word. By now, every Vraxi in the colony knows what happened. If we try to back out, we'll cause an incident. She looked at Quan directly. I'm not ordering you to do this. This has to be your choice. But I'm asking you to consider it. For the colony. For the partnership between our species. Quan thought about the cub, Stryker, looking up at him with those big eyes. He thought about Commander Vexra bowing. He thought about all the Vraxi workers he had seen around the colony, doing their jobs alongside humans. If I say no, what happens to them? He asked. They'll leave, Nari said. The Vraxi don't follow weak leaders. If you refuse this position, they'll see all humans as weak. They'll request transfer to another colony. And if I say yes, then you become Pack Alpha. You'll need to act like it. Make decisions. Give orders. Stand your ground when challenged. Quan was quiet for a long moment. This was not what he had signed up for. He had come here to work in peace, to fix things, to do a job, but sometimes life changed in unexpected ways. Okay, he said finally. I'll do it. But I need help. I need to understand their culture better. Nari smiled with relief. I'll teach you everything I know. Director Sora nodded. Good, we'll support you however we can. But Quan, understand this. Once you step into that role, you can't show weakness. The Vraxi will test you. They have to. It's their nature. The meeting ended shortly after. Quan walked back to his quarters with Nari. The corridors were busy with workers from both species. Several Vraxi they passed stopped and bowed their heads slightly when they saw Quan. It felt weird. They already know, Nari said. News travels fast in Vraxi packs. What do I do when they bow? Quan asked. Acknowledge them. A nod is enough. Don't bow back. Alphas don't bow. Quan tried it with the next Vraxi they passed. A quick nod. The alien seemed pleased. They reached Quan's quarters. Before Nari left, she handed him a datapad. Study this tonight. It's everything we know about Vraxi customs, body language, and social rules. You'll need it. That night, Quan read until his eyes hurt. He learned that Vraxi valued courage, strength, and decisiveness. They respected leaders who protected their pack. They despised cowardice and indecision. Their society was built on clear hierarchies, where everyone knew their place. He fell asleep wondering how he could possibly fill the role of Pack Alpha when he was just a human who wanted to fix machines in peace. The next morning started normally. Quan went to the maintenance bay to finish the atmospheric processor. He had barely started working when a large shadow fell over him. A Vraxi warrior stood there. Male with dark brown fur and scars across his muzzle. His eyes were cold. You are the human who bit Stryker, the warrior said. Yes, Quan replied, standing up slowly. He remembered what Nari taught him. Stand tall. Make eye contact. Show no fear. I am Raxus, the warrior said. I do not believe you are Alpha. You are small. You are weak. You have no claws. Other Vraxi were gathering. Quan could see them in the doorway watching. This was a test. He knew it. I don't need claws, Quan said, keeping his voice steady. I'm still Alpha. Prove it, Raxus growled. I have a task in Section 7. I will not do it until you make me. This was it. The first challenge. Quan's heart pounded, but he forced himself to stay calm. He had read about this. Vraxi challenged new Alphas to test their resolve. He walked directly toward Raxus. The big warrior did not move. Quan stopped right in front of him, close enough to feel the heat from the alien's body. He looked up into those cold yellow eyes. You will do your task, Quan said quietly. Not because I'm bigger. Not because I'm stronger. But because I'm Alpha and you know it. Raxus stared down at him. The seconds stretched. Quan did not blink. Did not look away. His legs wanted to run, but he forced them to stay still. He thought about Stryker. About the trust in those young eyes. He thought about Commander Vexra bowing. If he looked away now, it was over. So he didn't look away. 30 seconds passed. Maybe more. Quan's eyes were starting to water, but he did not blink. Finally, Raxus's gaze dropped. The warrior's ears went back. His posture changed, becoming less aggressive. Yes, Alpha, Raxus said. Then he turned and left. The watching Vraxi dispersed. Quan's legs felt like water. He sat down on a crate and let out a shaky breath. Nari appeared from somewhere in the corridor. She was grinning. That was perfect, she said. You just passed your first test. I thought I was going to pass out, Quan admitted, but you didn't. That's what matters. The Vraxi respect courage, Quan. You showed them you have it. Quan looked at his shaking hands. Maybe he could do this after all. Maybe being Alpha was not about being the biggest or the strongest. Maybe it was about refusing to back down even when you were scared. He stood up and went back to work on the atmospheric processor. He was still an engineer. But now he was something else too. He was Pack Alpha, and he was starting to understand what that meant. 3 weeks passed. Quan found himself settling into a strange new routine. He still fixed machines, but now Vraxi warriors followed him everywhere. They brought him food from their hunts. They asked his opinion on matters he knew nothing about. They waited for his orders. It felt wrong, but he was learning to work with it. He stood in the colony's command center when the alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed across every screen. Director Sora rushed to the main console, her face tight with worry. "What is it?" Quan asked. "Ships," Lieutenant Hyun said, pulling up sensor data. 3 of them. Unknown configuration. They're not responding to hails. Nari appeared at Quan's side. She looked at the screens and her expression darkened. "Pirates. They must have tracked the mining shipments." Quan's stomach dropped. The colony was valuable, sitting on rich mineral deposits. But it was also remote and poorly defended. "An easy target, battle stations," Director Sora ordered. "All personnel to defensive positions. Lieutenant Hyun, coordinate with security." Lieutenant Hyun started giving orders to the human security team. They were good soldiers, well-trained. But there were only 20 of them. The colony had not been built as a military installation. Commander Vexra entered the command center with 4 other Vraxi warriors. "We detected the ships, Alpha. The pack awaits your orders." Everyone turned to look at Quan. He felt panic rising in his chest. What did he know about military tactics? He fixed atmospheric processors, not command battles. I'm not a soldier," he said. "You are Alpha," Commander Vexra said simply. "We fight when you command it. We stand when you command it. We follow you." Director Sora looked at him. "Quan, the Vraxi won't take orders from our security team. They'll only listen to you. We need unity right now." The pirate ships were getting closer. Quan could see them on the screen. 3 dark shapes against the stars. Inside them were people who wanted to take what the colony had worked for. People who would hurt or kill anyone who got in their way. He thought about Mina in the medical bay. About Nari standing beside him. About little Striker, somewhere in the residential quarters with the other cubs. About all the humans and Vraxi who had made this colony their home. "Okay," he said, his voice stronger than he felt. "Everyone listen. Lieutenant Hyun, where are our weakest points?" Hyun pulled up a colony map. "The north docking bay and the eastern cargo entrance. Both have minimal defenses." Quan studied the map. He was not a soldier, but he was an engineer. He knew this colony's systems better than anyone. An idea formed in his mind. "Can we vent atmosphere in specific corridors?" he asked. Hyun looked surprised. "Yes, but why would we? If they breach the docking bay, we funnel them into corridors B7 and B8. Then we vent the atmosphere. They'll have to retreat or suffocate." "That's actually smart," Hyun admitted. "What about the mining equipment?" Quan asked. "Those drills can cut through solid rock. Can we use them as weapons?" Commander Vexra's ears perked up. "Yes, Alpha, we can mount them at choke points. Do it. And Nari, can we create electromagnetic interference? Make their sensors useless inside the colony?" Nari nodded quickly. "The power generators can be modified to emit a pulse. It'll scramble their equipment." Quan felt his mind racing. This was like solving a mechanical problem. Find the weak points. Use what you have. Think creatively. "Lieutenant Hyun, position your team at high ground with long-range weapons. Pick them off as they enter. Commander Vexra, your warriors take close combat positions. Use the corridors to your advantage. They can't bring their whole force through at once." "Where will you be, Alpha?" Vexra asked. "Here. Coordinating. I can control the colony systems from this console." Hyun looked like she wanted to argue, but there was no time. The ships were landing outside the colony's shields. Everyone moved to their positions. The next hour was chaos. The pirates breached the north docking bay just as Quan had predicted. They were a mixed group of species, heavily armed and experienced, but they were not ready for what they found. Quan watched through security cameras as the battle unfolded. The pirates pushed forward, only to find corridors filled with electromagnetic static that killed their sensors. Lieutenant Hyun's team fired from elevated positions, forcing the pirates into narrow passages. There, Commander Vexra's warriors were waiting. The Vraxi fought with terrifying efficiency. Their claws and strength made them deadly in close combat. The pirates had weapons, but in tight corridors they could not use them effectively. Quan directed the defense from his console. Vexra, fall back to Junction C. Hyun, cover their retreat. I'm venting atmosphere in Section B7 in 10 seconds. He hit the controls. Air rushed out of the corridor. Several pirates scrambled back, gasping. Mining drill activated at Point D, Quan reported, blocking their advance. The massive industrial drill roared to life, its spinning head creating an impassable barrier. Pirates fired at it, but the machine was built to tear through rock. Their weapons barely scratched it, but the pirates were not giving up. They pushed harder, finding new routes through the colony. One group made it past the defenses and headed toward the residential area. Striker, Quan breathed. The cubs were there. I see them, Vexra said through the comm. Pack with me. Protect the young. Quan watched 5 Vraxi warriors intercept the pirates near the residential block. The fight was brutal. The Vraxi threw themselves at the enemy with no thought for their own safety. Claws against guns, fury against fear. The pirates broke and ran, but 3 of the Vraxi were down, bleeding on the floor. Medical emergency in residential area, Quan said urgently. Mina, we have wounded. The battle continued for another 30 minutes. But the pirates realized they were not fighting an easy target. They were fighting a united force that knew the terrain and refused to give ground. One by one, the pirate ships retreated. When the alarms finally stopped, Quan slumped in his chair. His hands were shaking. Director Sora put a hand on his shoulder. You did well, she said, but Quan did not feel well. He rushed to the medical bay where Mina was working on the wounded Vraxi. Their blood was dark blue, pooling on the white floors. One warrior was barely conscious. Another growled in pain as Mina sealed a deep cut. Commander Vexra was there, standing guard over her wounded pack members. She had injuries too, but she had not let Mina treat them yet. They protected Striker, Vexra said when she saw Quan. They fought to the death to keep the cubs safe. This is the honor of the pack. They're hurt because of my orders, Quan said. His voice cracked. I sent them there. You sent us where we were needed. We are warriors, Alpha. We fight. We bleed. We protect. This is our purpose. But Quan could not accept that. These beings had followed his commands without question. They had trusted him. And now they were wounded, maybe dying, because he had directed the battle. He sat down next to one of the injured Vraxi. Raxus, the warrior who had challenged him weeks ago. The big alien's breathing was labored. His side was wrapped in bandages that were already soaking through with blood. Raxus, Quan said softly. The warrior's eyes opened. Alpha, I'm sorry. I should have protected you better. Raxus made a sound that might have been a laugh. You did protect us. You led us well. We won. The pack is safe, but you're hurt. Battle brings wounds. This is known. Raxus closed his eyes. You are a strange Alpha, Quan. You worry about warriors who chose to fight. This is not our way, but perhaps it is not wrong. Mina moved to Raxus next, her skilled hands working quickly. He'll live, she said. They all will. Vraxi are tough, but they need rest. Quan stayed in the medical bay for hours watching Mina work. She treated every patient with the same care, whether human or Vraxi. She did not see warriors or pack members. She saw people who needed help. When Commander Vexra finally let Mina treat her wounds, she sat next to Quan. You led us to victory, Alpha, she said. The pack is proud. I don't feel proud, Quan admitted. I feel sick, seeing them hurt, knowing I gave the orders. Vexra was quiet for a moment. This is new. Alphas do not usually feel pain for their warriors. The strong rule, the weak serve. That is how it has always been. That's not how humans see it, Quan said. Leaders should protect their people, not just command them. Protect, Vexra repeated the word slowly. Not just command. This is a strange idea. Quan watched little Striker peek around the doorway, checking on the wounded adults. The cub saw him and chirped softly. Even scared, even worried, the young one still looked at Quan with trust. Maybe that was what being Alpha really meant. Not having the most strength. Not being the fiercest fighter. But being someone others could trust to protect them, even at great cost. Tomorrow, Quan said, I want to help repair the damage to the colony. All of us. Humans and Vraxi together. Alphas do not do worker tasks. Vexra said, confused. This Alpha does, Quan replied. If you'll help me. Vexra's ears tilted forward. She looked at him with an expression he could not quite read. After a long moment, she said, "Yes, Alpha, we will help you." The morning after the battle, Quan woke up early. His body ached from tension and he had barely slept. Images of wounded Vraxi kept playing in his mind. He got dressed and headed to the damaged sections of the colony before anyone else was awake. The north docking bay was a mess. Scorch marks on walls, broken equipment, bloodstains on the floor, both red and blue. The smell of burnt metal hung in the air. Quan grabbed a toolkit and started working. He began with the main door mechanism, which had been damaged in the fight. The work was familiar and calming. He lost himself in the simple task of fixing what was broken. He did not hear Commander Vexra approach until she spoke. "Alpha, what are you doing?" Quan looked up from the wiring panel. "Fixing the door. It needs to be repaired." Vexra's ears flattened in confusion. "This is workers' labor, not Alpha's task." "I'm an engineer," Quan said, going back to his work. "I fix things. That's what I do. But you lead the pack. This is beneath your station." Quan paused. He put down his tools and looked at her directly. "Vexra, can I ask you something? Why do Vraxi follow Alphas?" The commander seemed surprised by the question. "Because they are strongest. They prove dominance. This is the way of nature. And what happens when the Alpha becomes too weak to fight? They are challenged, defeated. A new Alpha takes their place." Quan nodded slowly. "So leadership is about being strongest. And when you're not strongest anymore, you're nothing." "Yes," Vexra said, though she seemed uncertain. "That's not how humans do it," Quan said. He picked up his tools again. "Human leaders serve their people. They work for the good of everyone, not just to prove they're strong. And when they can't lead anymore, they teach the next generation. They share knowledge. They help even after they're not in charge." He returned to the wiring. "I'm fixing this door because it needs to be fixed. Because it keeps people safe. Not because I'm Alpha or not Alpha. Just because it's the right thing to do." Vexra watched him work in silence. After several minutes, she said, "May I help?" Quan smiled. "I'd like that." He showed her what to do. The work was simple but required care. Vexra's large hands were surprisingly gentle. They worked together, Alpha and Commander, fixing a broken door in comfortable silence. Other Vraxi found them an hour later. They stopped and stared, their Alpha working like a common laborer, their Commander following his lead. It went against everything they knew, but slowly, one by one, they joined in. By midday, a dozen Vraxi and half as many humans were working together to repair the docking bay. They hauled debris, fixed wiring, replaced damaged panels, species working side by side, not divided by rank or hierarchy. Lieutenant Hyun found Quan covered in grease and dust. She shook her head with amusement. "You're supposed to be leading, not hauling scrap metal." "This is leading," Quan said. "Just a different kind." The work continued for days. Quan noticed something changing in the colony. Vraxi, who had always kept apart from humans, started talking to them, asking questions, learning human names. Young Stryker followed Quan everywhere, mimicking everything he did. If Quan picked up a tool, Stryker found a smaller tool. If Quan carried equipment, Stryker tried to carry something too. The cub was learning. And through him, other young Vraxi were learning too. They saw that work could be honorable, that helping others was not weakness but strength. One evening, Quan sat in the common area with Nari and Mina. They were tired but satisfied. The colony was recovering well. "You're changing them," Nari said thoughtfully. "The Vraxi, they're not the same as when you arrived." "I'm not trying to change them," Quan said. "I'm just being myself." "That's exactly my point," Mina added. "You're showing them a different way, not replacing their culture but adding to it." Commander Vexra approached their table. She looked uncertain, which was unusual for the normally confident warrior. "Alpha, I have a question, but I do not know if I should ask it." "You can always ask me things, Vexra," Quan said. She sat down, her large frame making the human-sized chair look tiny. "Why do you lead from beside us instead of above us?" The question hung in the air. Quan thought carefully before answering. "Because that's what pack means to humans. We're stronger together, all of us. I'm not better than you because I'm Alpha. I'm Alpha because I want to make everyone better. Does that make sense?" Vexra's ears swiveled forward, a sign of deep thought. "It is strange, but I see the results. The pack works better. We fight better. We heal faster when we all help each other." She paused, My cubs ask me questions now. About humans. About why Alpha Quan works with his hands. I did not know how to answer them. Tell them the truth, Quan said. Tell them that different species can learn from each other. That strength comes in many forms. Over the following weeks, the colony transformed. Vraxi warriors started learning human technical skills. Human engineers learned Vraxi combat techniques for self-defense. The mining operations' efficiency increased dramatically because both species worked together instead of just alongside each other. Quan trained both species to maintain the colony's systems. He refused to hoard knowledge. He taught anyone who wanted to learn. Some Vraxi struggled with the concept at first. Knowledge was power, and power was for alphas. But slowly they accepted that shared knowledge made the pack stronger. Raxus, fully healed from his battle wounds, became one of Quan's most dedicated students. The big warrior had a surprising aptitude for mechanical work. His strong hands could bend metal, but he learned to be gentle with delicate electronics. I never thought I would enjoy this, Raxus admitted one day. Warriors fight. We do not build. Why not do both? Quan asked. You can protect people and help them. Both are important. It was during one of these work sessions that Director Sora pulled Quan aside. Her expression was serious. I got a message from the Vraxi homeworld, she said. The ruling pride has heard about what's happening here. About you, Quan felt nervous. Is that bad? I don't know yet. They're sending a high commander to evaluate the situation. His name is Thorak. He's traditional, very traditional. He built his reputation on combat supremacy and strict hierarchy. When does he arrive? 3 days, Quan's stomach sank. 3 days to prepare for judgment from someone who represented everything opposite to what he had been building. That night, he could not sleep. He walked the colony corridors thinking. He passed the medical bay where Mina was working late. The residential area where young Vraxi cubs slept safely. The common areas where humans and Vraxi now gathered together instead of separately. He found himself in the maintenance bay where this had all started. The atmospheric processor hummed smoothly now, fully repaired. He remembered the day Stryker had attacked his boot. The day everything changed. Stryker himself was there, curled up on a pile of equipment padding. The young Vraxi had gotten bigger, almost adolescent-sized now. His eyes opened when Quan entered. Can't sleep either? Quan asked softly. Stryker chirped and stood up. He walked over and bumped his head against Quan's leg, the Vraxi equivalent of a hug. Quan sat down on a crate. Stryker settled next to him, warm and solid. There's a high commander coming, Quan told the young Vraxi. He might not like what we've built here. He might want to change everything back to how it was. Stryker tilted his head, listening even if he could not understand all the words. I don't know if I'm doing this right, Quan admitted. I'm just an engineer. I never wanted to be a leader, but somehow I'm responsible for all of you now, and I'm scared I'm going to let you down. Stryker made a soft sound and rested his head on Quan's knee. The simple gesture of trust steadied Quan's nerves. Okay, he said to the young Vraxi. Whatever happens, we face it together. That's what pack means, right? Stryker's tail wagged slightly. Quan smiled despite his worries. 3 days felt both too long and too short. The colony prepared for the High Commander's arrival. Commander Vexra was tense. The other Vraxi were nervous. They knew that Thorak represented the old ways, the traditional path of dominance and combat. When the ship finally landed, every Vraxi in the colony stood at attention. The humans gathered too, showing solidarity. The ship's door opened. High Commander Thorak emerged, and Quan understood immediately why everyone was afraid. Thorak was massive, even for a Vraxi, covered in scars, eyes like chips of ice. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. Everything about him screamed power and dominance, and he was looking directly at Quan with an expression that promised challenge. High Commander Thorak stepped onto the colony's landing platform like he owned it. His massive frame cast a shadow across the assembled crowd. Every Vraxi immediately dropped into a submissive posture, heads lowered, ears back. Even Commander Vexra, who had stood against pirates without fear, looked small next to him. Thorak's cold eyes swept over the gathering until they found Quan. The High Commander walked forward, his footsteps heavy and deliberate. He stopped 3 feet away, towering over the human. You are the one who claims to be Alpha, Thorak said. His voice was deep enough to feel in the chest. Quan forced himself to stand straight. Every instinct screamed to run, but he held his ground. I'm Quan, Pack Alpha of this colony. You are small, Thorak observed. Weak, you have no claws, no fangs. No warrior's build. He circled Quan slowly, examining him like faulty equipment. Yet I am told you lead Vraxi warriors, that they follow your commands, that they bow to you. That's right, Quan said, keeping his voice steady. Thorak stopped circling. Prove it. Prove what? That you deserve to be Alpha. Challenge me, fight me, show me your strength. The colony went silent. Quan could see Nari's worried face in the crowd. Director Sora looked ready to intervene. Lieutenant Hyun had her hand near her weapon. Commander Vexra's claws were extended, though she did not move. Quan looked up at the massive warrior. In a straight fight, Thorak would kill him in seconds. Everyone knew it. No, Quan said. Thorak's ears flattened. No, I won't fight you. That's not how I lead. Then you are not Alpha. You are nothing. Thorak's voice carried across the platform. I will take command here. These Vraxi will return to the proper ways. This experiment in weakness ends now. It's not weakness, Quan said. He felt anger rising, pushing past his fear. Just because I won't fight you doesn't mean I'm weak. It means I'm not stupid. You're bigger and stronger. I know that. Everyone knows that. Fighting you would just prove I can lose a fight. Then you admit you are not worthy to lead. I admit I can't beat you in combat. But being Alpha isn't about being the best fighter. It's about taking care of your pack, making them stronger, protecting them, teaching them. Quan gestured at the assembled Vraxi. Look at them. This colony is thriving. Humans and Vraxi working together. Both species learning from each other. Mining efficiency up 200%. 0 deaths during a pirate attack because we fought as one pack, not separate groups. Pretty words, Thorak growled. But words mean nothing. Only strength matters, then you don't understand strength at all. The crowd gasped. No one spoke to a high commander that way. Thorak's claws extended fully. His lips pulled back, showing massive fangs. You dare insult me? I dare to tell you the truth, Quan said. His heart was pounding, but he kept talking. You think strength is about dominating others, about being the biggest and scariest. But real strength is about lifting others up, helping them grow, building something together that's bigger than any one person. Thorak stepped closer, close enough that Quan could smell his breath. If you will not fight, then I will kill you for your disrespect. And these Vraxi will learn what happens to weak leaders. Quan did not move. He stood his ground, looking up at the High Commander. He was terrified, but he would not back down, not when everything they had built was at stake. If you kill me, Quan said quietly. What does that prove? That you're stronger? Everyone already knows that. You'll just be another Alpha who rules through fear. But these Vraxi have learned something different here. And you can't kill that knowledge. You can't kill what we've built. Thorak raised his clawed hand. The strike would be lethal. Quan closed his eyes, hoping it would be quick, but the strike never came. Quan opened his eyes. Commander Vexra stood between him and Thorak. Her posture was defensive. Her claws were out. Move aside, Commander, Thorak ordered. No, High Commander, Vexra said. Her voice shook, but she did not move. You would protect this human? You would defy me? I would protect my Alpha. Raxus stepped forward next, standing beside Vexra. Then another Vraxi warrior. Then another. Within seconds, every Vraxi in the colony formed a protective ring around Quan. Even young Striker pushed his way to the front, his adolescent fangs bared. Thorak stared at the scene in disbelief. You would all defy a High Commander? For a human, he is our Alpha, Vexra said firmly. Not because he is strongest, because he earned our loyalty. He works beside us. He protects us. He teaches us. He leads not from above, but from within the pack. This is different from our old ways, but it is not wrong. He showed us that strength comes in many forms, Raxus added. That knowledge shared makes everyone stronger. That caring for your pack is not weakness, young Striker chirped loudly, his voice breaking with adolescent uncertainty, but his conviction clear. Thorak looked at the assembled Vraxi. His expression was unreadable. The silence stretched, tense as a drawn wire. Finally, the High Commander spoke. You have all chosen this human as your Alpha, not because he defeated you, not because you fear him, but because you respect him? Yes, High Commander, Vexra said. We have chosen him, Thorax's claws slowly retracted. He looked at Quan with new eyes, measuring him by different standards. In all my years, I have never seen Vraxi choose their alpha. We have always followed the strongest. The most dominant. The fiercest warrior, he paused. But you have made them loyal in a way I have not seen before. They would die to protect you. Not because you command it, but because they want to. That's what pack means, Quan said softly. Real pack. Not just hierarchy. True loyalty. Thorak was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something no one expected. He bowed. Not a full submission, but a bow of respect equal to equal. I came here to judge you, human Quan. To decide if you were fit to lead Vraxi. I see now that the question was wrong. It is not whether you are fit to lead them. It is whether our species is ready to learn from yours. He straightened up and addressed the assembled crowd. I will report to the ruling pride that this colony represents a new path forward. Not a replacement of Vraxi ways, but an addition to them. Strength through combat still has its place. But strength through unity, through knowledge shared, through loyalty earned. This has value too. Thorak looked at Quan again. You have taught these Vraxi something our species had forgotten. That the strongest pack is not the one with the fiercest alpha, but the one where every member makes the others stronger. Director Sora stepped forward, relief evident on her face. Does this mean the ruling pride will support our partnership? I will recommend that humans be considered for leadership positions throughout the Vraxi Empire, Thorak said. Not to replace our leaders, but to work alongside them. To teach what they know about cooperation, about building instead of just conquering. He turned to leave, then stopped. Alpha Quan, one question. How did you know they would defend you? Were you not afraid I would kill you all? Quan smiled slightly. I was terrified. But I trusted my pack. That's what alphas are supposed to do. Thorak's ears tilted forward, a sign of approval. Yes, I think you understand leadership better than most Vraxi commanders I know. He walked back to his ship. I will be watching this colony's progress. Do not disappoint me. After Thorak left, the tension broke. Vraxi and humans alike seemed to exhale in relief. Stryker bounded over to Quan and nearly knocked him down with enthusiastic affection. The young Vraxi's tail wagged so hard his whole body shook. Commander Vexra approached more calmly. That was very dangerous, Alpha. I know, Quan admitted. But thank you for standing up for me. You would do the same for any of us. This is what you have taught us. Pack protects pack. The celebration that night was unlike anything the colony had seen before. Humans and Vraxi gathered together in the common areas. They shared food from both cultures. Stryker and the other young Vraxi played with human children, the boundaries between species blurring. Quan found himself sitting with Nari, Mina, Director Sora, and Lieutenant Hyun. Commander Vexra and Raxus joined them, the group mixed and comfortable with each other. You know, Nari said, when you first bit that cub, I thought it was going to cause a diplomatic disaster. It almost did, Quan laughed. Many times. But you turned it into something better, Mina added. You showed both species that we can learn from each other. Director Sora raised her glass. To Alpha Quan, who came here to fix machines and ended up fixing something much more important. They drank together, human and Vraxi, celebrating not just the victory over Thorak's challenge, but the new world they were building together. Weeks turned into months. The colony continued to thrive. More Vraxi arrived, curious about this place where a human led their people. Some were skeptical at first, but they saw the results. They saw warriors who could think strategically as well as fight. They saw workers who took pride in their labor. They saw a community that was strong, because everyone contributed. Quan trained new leaders, both human and Vraxi. He shared everything he knew, holding nothing back. Some Vraxi struggled with this concept at first, but they learned that knowledge shared made everyone stronger. Young Stryker grew into a fine warrior, but one who understood that strength came in many forms. He became Quan's second in command, bridging the gap between species with ease. One evening, Quan stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars. The colony lights glowed behind him, warm and welcoming. He thought about the day he had arrived, just an engineer looking for quiet work. He had found so much more. Stryker joined him, now fully grown and impressive. Alpha, the new mining equipment is installed. Efficiency projections are good. You did great work, Quan said. You're a natural leader. I learned from the best, Stryker replied. He paused, then asked, Do you ever regret it? That day you bit me? Everything that happened after? Quan smiled. Sometimes I think about how different my life would be if I had just let you chew on my boot. I'd still be a simple engineer fixing machines in peace. But then I remember what we built here. Humans and Vraxi working together, learning from each other, building something better than either species could alone. He looked at Stryker. No, I don't regret it. Not for a second. Stryker's tail wagged slightly. Good, because neither do I. They stood together in comfortable silence, Alpha and Pack member, human and Vraxi, watching the stars and dreaming of the future they would build together. The colony below them hummed with activity, both species working side by side. The predator cub had bitten at a human's boot in play. The human had chomped back in jest. That simple moment had marked him as Pack Alpha. But what came after that moment, everything they built together, that marked them all as something greater. They were Pack, true Pack, and they would face whatever came next together.